call the meeting to order of the Town Council tonight. I'd like to welcome everyone here. Glad y'all could be here to join us tonight. We will follow our agenda tonight, which is normal. We'll start off by pledge allegiance to the flag, and after that, Councilman Roscoe Poole will give the invocation. So if you will, all please stand and join me in pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us bow our heads. Father God, we want to thank you that you have blessed us, you have protected us, and you have brought us to another meeting. Lord, that we can come together and meet together and discuss things together and be prosperous together, that our town will grow, that our town will be prosperous. And Lord, we want to add in that you let us have a little more love and kindness. And we ask that you would just continue to bless the people that visit this place. And we ask that we can continue to beautify this place in your precious name. And we ask that you would continue to bless this board, bless the council members, bless the Marie, bless the mayor. Make us strong and help us to understand that we are one. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Okay, you've all had a chance to read over the minutes of January 27th and February 24th, so I need a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved. Second, Mayor.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, and we're scheduled to have a public meeting tonight, and I will call on Anne Marie, if she will, to explain the circumstances on that.
I will, Mayor. Thank you. So we had briefed the council a couple weeks ago and informed them that we would be advertising, which we did, to conduct a public hearing for tonight to review the proposals that were scheduled to be received on Friday, February 28th, that would provide the terms of the financing for the town's street repair and resurfacing project. And I wrote to the council over the weekend and told them that midweek before the 28th, the finance officer informed me that we hadn't received any proposals, and we thought that was unusual because we normally get 2 or 3 proposals from financial institutions who want to loan us money. And Virginia started making calls, and people said, well, we're looking at it, we'll try to get you something. Well, the Friday passed, the deadline passed, and on Monday we didn't receive any proposals. So I reached out to the local government commission and then also to a public finance banker who had been assisting us with our USDA water treatment plant loan, and asked, you know, kind of strange, we didn't get any proposals. We had just heard that the Federal Reserve had lowered the interest rate by 0.5%, and I said, do you think we should hold off a little bit, maybe try to delay for a month and get proposals? And he said, Anne Marie, I'm not surprised you didn't get any proposals. The market was going crazy. You know, remember that's when everything started, the stock market started diving late that week. So, but he said, if, you know, if you can wait a little bit, try to let things settle down. He said, I think you will get good bids because, or good interest rates when things settle down, when the banks have confidence that the market is going to settle down, because the Treasury bill rate has been declining. And he said, as a matter of fact, just, you know, that day or the Friday before, it had dropped significantly. And then over the weekend, or I guess it was this Monday morning, I read a report where this is kind of related, the mortgage bankers are extremely busy because mortgage rates are at a 50-year low. And they are low because of the Treasury bill rate, the T-bill rate being so low. So how does all that impact us? First, it's kind of amazing when you think about the global effects. You know, here's our $900,000 loan project that we want so we can finish repairing and resurfacing phase 2 of our streets. We don't have a proposal, so we cannot conduct a public hearing tonight, and I would ask that the council consider a motion to table this public hearing to the April 14th meeting. Hopefully, you know, within the next couple weeks, things will settle down and the banks will want to offer us a proposal. I talked to the LGC because we had been lining up our schedule with them, and they were fine with it. They said just make sure that your contractor who has the low bid for the paving work is good with this. And so we did reach out to Barnhill, and the way their schedule is working, they're fine with us not getting approval until May. So, long explanation, but it is fascinating when you think about what's going on in the world and how it can impact us here in Edenton and our local government. Happy to answer any questions or...
Anybody have any questions, Van? Okay, in that event, we will need a motion to table the public hearing till our April 14th meeting.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor of tabling it till April 14th?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we'll move into our committee reports, and our first one is the Administrative Committee, chaired by Councilman High.
Thank you, Mayor Stallings. The Administrative Committee has 3 items that it needs to report on tonight. The first item is the time of year has come around that we need to solicit interest in our various boards and commissions and to reappoint those commissions. The committee recommends that council authorize staff to solicit interest in those boards and commission reappointments, advertise for applications for those vacancies, and move forward with filling those vacancies, and I would present that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. The second item is the committee recommends that council approve a contract with Southeastern Preservation to update the historic preservation design guidelines as presented. It's time for us to take a look at those guidelines and to update those as may be needed. So I put that in the form of a motion also, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the last item, Mayor, I'm pleased to report that at the work session where the committees met, we talked about forming a young folks committee for persons under 40 to give us ideas about how we can make Edenton more attractive to that age group and that demographic. And Anne-Marie, Saoirse, and I have been very, very pleased with the level of interest that we've received from that. So I'm very, very excited about the potential that that committee has for us. And so tonight the committee is recommending that staff solicit recommendations, form that committee, and begin meetings of that committee. And I'd put that in the form of a motion also.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And Mayor, that concludes the reports that our committee has for the full council.
All right, thank you, sir. The next is our Finance Committee, and that's normally chaired by Councilman Dixon, and he is in New Bern tonight with the Main Street commission, so Anne Marie, will you fill in for him, please?
Okay, Mayor, I'll try. At the Finance Committee meeting 2 weeks ago, the committee reviewed a proposed budget amendment that would appropriate funds from sales tax collections, which are coming in higher than what we forecasted, which is a good thing. $3,725, and that would go to fund an expense to pay for some maintenance and renovations and repairs that are needed in the former Arts Council space, which will be converted to meeting and conference space. So the Finance Committee recommended council approve that budget amendment as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Can somebody make the motion, because
Oh, I thought you were making a motion.
I'm not allowed to do that.
I'll make the motion.
I made the motion.
We got a
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Sorry.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, opposed? Motion carried.
I would like to sometimes make a motion. The next item, Mayor, that the Finance Committee reviewed pertains to a grant that the town received to help pay Colony Tire for improvements that they're making on their large warehouse expansion. They, as you know, Colony has pledged to create 40 new jobs, and they received a $320,000 grant from Department of Commerce, and that grant is funneled through the town, and it requires a lot of monitoring, paperwork, certifications, and so we reached out to the Wooten Company, our engineering and administrative consultants, and they have prepared an agreement that the committee recommended approval, that we would contract with them to provide the grant administration services not to exceed $8,000. And the committee recommended approval of that.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a
Second.
second. Any further discussion? That grant was $325,000, is that right?
$320,000.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please.
Mayor, I'd just like to, I think this whole vote is indicative. We have a lot of experts come in here and tell us that the quickest and easiest way for a town this size to expand its industrial base is to work with our existing employees and employers and see what opportunities we have, and I think this is an excellent example.
Absolutely. Yes,
of
sir.
that.
Have any of you been out and seen that new warehouse?
It's unbelievable. I haven't seen it on the inside, but I've seen it on the outside.
It's
We can just
unbelievable.
imagine.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, it really is. Okay, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, the last item from the Finance Committee is a recommendation that the council approve an agreement with the North Carolina Department of Transportation to be the fiscal agent for the Albemarle Sound Passenger Ferry Feasibility Study. And the committee discussed the fact that our House of Representatives member, Ed Goodwin, was able to secure a special appropriation of $70,000 that will be used to help evaluate the feasibility of the passenger harbor town ferry project. The town would act as the fiscal agent, and so any expenditures that are approved as part of the project would be paid by the town, and then we would have to submit reimbursement requests to Department of Transportation, and then we would be reimbursed. We're super excited about this project. We have a meeting actually tomorrow. The person who's looking at possibly doing a trial program this summer with the cruise boat or
Is this the
ferry.
captain?
The captain
Captain.
from the Richmond area, is coming back to look at us. So anyway, and then to be asked to be the fiscal agent, we appreciate that confidence that DOT and the representative have in us to monitor and administer those funds. So.
We need a motion on that.
So moved, Mayor.
Okay, need a second.
Have anybody had a study of where the depot is gonna be, and the parking?
That is part of what this whole study, is going to evaluate, you know, what infrastructure will be needed, you know, are there facilities that we could use temporarily, but long-term, if the project is good and develops the way we think it is, there'll definitely have to be accommodations made for that. Yeah.
This really is exciting. This will do wonders for our tourism in the area, and other communities also. And I think
six towns that they will be going to.
5 or 6.
And I think we're so far ahead of some
Yeah.
of these other towns too. I know we got a lot to do, but this is exciting.
Any further discussion? Need a motion?
I think somebody moved, we
I'm
need a
sorry.
second, I
Okay.
think.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, now, and the next item is comes under new business, and we got 3 items under that. I'm gonna ask Anne Marie if she will take care of all
Okay.
3 of those
I will try, Mayor.
while she's on the road.
We'll try. So, hats off to Virginia Smith, our finance officer, and Corey Gooden, especially Corey. He's had spent a lot of time with FEMA, working up our projects to be reimbursed for damages that we suffered from Hurricane Dorian, and then also to be reimbursed for a lot of the protective measures that we took prior to the storm and then after for cleanup. It's a lot of paperwork. Sometimes we question, is it worth all of the time and effort? But when they send you an email and tell you that the grant portal is available for us to review and approve, and there's lots of money there, it's worth it.
This includes the tree trimming prior to the storm too?
Yes, we
Which was
did
good
get,
move, yeah.
we had a tree trimming crew that came prior to the storm because we had identified some trees. Actually, Mike, our new electric director, identified some potential hazards, and he was able to justify that to FEMA, so they are including that reimbursement.
And hats off to him for that, because it probably saved some light lines from being torn down, electric lines. So hats off to you,
Thanks,
Mike,
Mike.
for doing that.
So we are, well, Virginia has put together a project budget ordinance for your consideration, and for the revenue, FEMA will approve a grant to the town to cover our expenses for all the debris removal and disposal, and that totaled $57,049.75. And then they have approved a grant to reimburse the town for our emergency and protective services work. And that basically includes overtime, the use of town equipment, mainly vehicles, if there were any pumps, generators, things like that. Town materials, about $2,300. We did have to rent a couple bypass pumps, and that was $7,500. They're reimbursing us for that. And then the contract tree trimming that Councilman Miller mentioned, that was almost $16,000. So if you were, and let me go back with the debris removal. FEMA pays for all of the straight time, all of our straight time picking up and carrying the debris to our yard waste site. They also would reimburse us for overtime, and then for the use of our equipment, and that was $22,000. Wow, Corey, that was good. good work, because that's kind of cash that comes back to the town that will help our bottom line and may be able to use to help fund the stormwater assessment
By
plan
the way, that
you
was a
saw.
great detailed report, Corey. I don't know, you seem to have all your facts and figures right in line.
And then we are going to have to hire a contractor to come to the yard waste debris site and chip and grind all of the debris that was collected. So all total, $97,592 worth of reimbursements, and then some is going to be a little bit kind of like cash that we can use for other projects, because all of our equipment, we already own that, it's already on site, but we're getting reimbursed for that, and so that helps the bottom line. So thank you,
Great.
Corey and Virginia, for all that work.
Anne Marie, how much of that do you think is excess above what we anticipated getting? I'm trying to think what that bottom line is. At $97,000, what would you estimate we would have that's unbudgeted at this point? Is that a fair question?
I'm not sure I'm following the question, so
We're getting $97,000 from FEMA. Did we expect to get $97,000 from FEMA?
no.
What did we expect to get?
I was expecting to get a lot less, quite frankly.
I'm asking, is this new money? Is this new money for us?
It's, I would say that of the 97,000, that the only new money will be the equipment rent, the money that we are reimbursed for the use of our equipment, which was 22 and 9, so about 31,000 is new money.
Would you say the detailed documentation that was done, that was presented to FEMA, really helped
Absolutely.
Oh
Quite a
yes,
bit.
I
Okay.
mean,
Absolutely.
I think that
Good job.
the way that Public Works, the fire, police, electric kept their records, the way that Virginia was able to input everything into the spreadsheet. They were on, FEMA came in here and it was like, come on, hurry up, let's go. They weren't going to wait around for, if you didn't have all your documentation, they were going to be moving on to the next town. So I really think that our team did a fine job in making sure that we were able to get reimbursed for the maximum. We're still waiting for reimbursement, or we're still waiting for what our grant will be to repair and restore a lot of the areas along the waterfront that got damaged from overwash. So we've got our fingers crossed on that we'll be looking at some good funding for that. Does that answer your question, Councilman?
Yeah. It's like I got $30,000 in my pocket right here.
Any further discussion? We need a motion.
I move that we approve the Hurricane Dorian project budget amendments.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And the next one is the contract for legal services for the Board of Adjustments. Anne Marie?
Yes, sir, Mayor.
Take that, please.
The council has been advised that the appeal that Mr. Vince Berger made of the Board of Adjustments decision regarding his certificate of appropriateness from the Edenton Preservation Commission was remanded back by the Superior Court judge to the Board of Adjustment. And the council remembers that the town attorney defended the Board of Adjustment in Superior Court, and now the judge has remanded that back with instructions to the board. And so Hoods and his firm are, in fact, maybe you can help me out here, they're conflicted out of representing the Board of Adjustment because they were defending them in court.
That's correct, and it's hard really to explain, as you're experiencing
struggling,
right now,
yeah.
and I'm experiencing right now. But when that happens, the town's contracted attorney is conflicted out of representing the Board of Adjustment at this new hearing that the Court of Appeals has ordered. And if we did not recognize that conflict, and if we did not do something about that conflict in the form of hiring an attorney to represent us at that, it could cause another error that could be brought up at a later stage. So it's prudent to do what we're doing.
Thank you. So we reached out to the county attorney, Lauren Womble, and she has submitted a proposal. She does not have a conflict. She would be able to represent the board. Elizabeth Bryant, our planner, who will staff the Board of Adjustments hearing, has worked with Lauren in the past and has high regard for her. We estimate that it may take Lauren anywhere from 5 to 6 hours to review the. She doesn't have to review the whole case. She's going to have to review the judge's order and make sure that she's prepared for the board to instruct the Board of Adjustment on how to handle the case. So it could be 10, 15, 20 hours altogether with the hearing worth of work.
She'll just bill us by the hour.
And she'll bill us by the hour. And we recently amended, or you all recently amended the legal fees budget because of this appeal. So we would recommend that you authorize the contract, and then we would work with Lauren. I think the 30-day period from which any action can be taken is about to expire any day. So it's likely that there'll be a hearing date sometime in April.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what the instructions are from the judge that he's asking of the Board of Adjustment?
I do, but I couldn't recite them to you. We can certainly.
I'm sure it's complex. We wouldn't have to have an attorney, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we can. I can ask Hood to give you a summary
I was
of the
ready for him
instructions.
tonight, but he's not here.
No, he's out of town.
He did that last month.
He reviewed in closed session with you. He did.
That's what
He did review, but I think you're asking for another, more refined explanation, because at that time I think we hadn't received the final order. It was
So the Board of Adjustment will act again based on the recommendation from the attorney. Does that go back to the judge? Or is
no,
that the
not
end of it?
unless someone were to appeal it. But
Okay.
my mind, it's becoming clearer. I think one of the problems was that the statutes changed, and the Board of Adjustment previously, in order to overrule a decision made by the Preservation Commission, the vote had to be 4/5 majority. And but that statute changed, and now it's a simple majority. So the board will go back, they'll rehear it, but they also the judge also advised the board that they could not hear any new evidence or new testimony, and there was some new evidence and new testimony that was introduced at the hearing. So, and there was one other instruction, and it escapes me, but we can get you a summary of that.
I'm just hoping this case is settled before the group hub opens.
Any further discussion? I will need a motion to proceed with that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. And the next one is a small capital project budget ordinance on the Albemarle Sound Ferry feasibility study.
Mayor, and this just dovetails with the agreement that you all approved. It's the budget amendment will add $70,000 in revenue from NCDOT to the small capital project ordinance, and then on the expense side, the expenditure.
Okay.
I just want to thank Eddie Goodwin for all he's done on this project too. He's really come to our aid.
Okay, thank you. All right, that finishes up our committee reports. And so at this time, we'll have items considered timely and important.
Sorry, Mayor.
I'm sorry?
Did we get a motion and a vote on that?
I thought we did. Okay, we need a motion on this last item, I'm sorry.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All right, motion carried. I thought we did that, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, now we'll get to the items considered timely and important. Anybody up here have anything that they need to discuss?
I have an item, Mayor. We talked about it the last council meeting. Maybe Anne Marie could go into it into more detail. I'm getting people throughout the city asking me about these recycle bins. Can they put them in there with the regular trash? If they just put the bins, blue bucket out, will the people pick it up on trash day and stuff like that? So I told them I'll ask you on the meeting night and for them to listen to the TV and get their answer.
Thank you for asking that, because I got that question a lot.
We all had that
too.
question.
Everybody had that question, yeah.
So, we've talked with Public Works and, they are picking up, well, I guess the best way to say it is citizens can use their recycling cart for trash, put it out on the trash day, and Public Works will pick it up. And they're also picking up bins because some people still use the recycling bins. But as long as it's at the curb on trash day, we will pick it up.
Okay.
And we did have a couple residents this past week that we provided flyers that they had taken out their cans on recycling day. And so we sent a crew out townwide, picked those up and did a notice in case someone missed the television, the YouTube, or newspaper or Facebook feed updating it. So that we will pick it up on your regular scheduled day.
Okay, good, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but downtown in the alley between Emilio's and Southern Bank, and also in the alley that's behind Carpet and Appliance Plaza, there is some lighting, and I don't know what you call it. I call it like old school Edison type of bulbs in those alleys. And it's a real inviting look and a really, really neat look, and it makes you feel safe. It makes it feel like it's a vibrant downtown. And I'd like to send to committee the possibility of looking into the expense and feasibility and desirability of perhaps putting those type of lights in the trees that are back over here in the park at night, and it might make the park more inviting, might give it the appearance of being a safe place. And I think it'd be a really neat look if it's something A, that we can do, and B, that it's affordable. And I think it would be a really neat look as you're coming down Broad Street and headed towards the park and bay and seeing that. But I think it would also give our visitors and our citizens alike a real inviting look to the park. So perhaps we can discuss that at our next committee meeting.
I would like to know more about these houses that's being auctioned off. Is it required that there's a limited time that they have to post it, make posters and put them? I went up to the tax place and there was a poster on the window, auction, and that was Monday, but the auction was Saturday.
It was what?
The auction was on Saturday and I went up there Monday and it done happen. I got a chance to see there was a couple of houses on there was really, really cheap, and they just we got all kinds of committees, beautifying committees and renovation committees, and people are really buying houses now, or they're getting them. I ain't gonna say buying them, renovating them. I think it's about 3 on Cataract Street was being renovated. And I know that whoever bought them must have got them for a price, must have stolen them, I would put it that way.
So I think you're speaking about the tax, the
Right.
Chihuahua County Tax Office. The
Right, most likely, yeah.
they're being very aggressive, and we appreciate it in their efforts. It's taken several years, them working with a specialized attorney to get to the point where they can sell property that is delinquent in taxes. I will, and going forward, I get a notice, Melissa, the tax supervisor, sends Elizabeth and myself a list because we want to know for our redevelopment zones, properties that are up for tax sale. But we're happy to publicize that and share that. I know the tax office publicizes it, the county does as well. But I can't tell you what the timing is. It's all based on statutes and upset bids and what have you. But I'd be glad to try and set up a time for Melissa to talk with you and she can explain the process.
Now,
It's advertised in the Joy and Herald for at least 3 weeks, I think it is.
with
At least 3 weeks.
as far as the tax delinquent property, a lot of things they're advertised in the paper, bang, a long list in the paper, and it's right there. If you don't pay your taxes, you know, but auction off. So. But I haven't seen it listed in the Torian Herald.
But they do, they listed in the Joy and Herald like that.
They do?
Yes, sir.
I haven't seen it.
And Reverend Poole, I've got a number of clients that are interested in that same thing that you mentioned, and I advise them to keep an eye on the newspaper. The courthouse has a bulletin board outside just to the right of the main entrance that posts the properties that are going to be for sale, and also on the website for the tax department on their very front page when they've got a sale coming up. They try to generate interest in it, and they publish the properties that are going to be sold. So those are 3 ways that you can find out more about it.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor, I was just real pleased with the progress being made at the Boys and Girls Club. I want to thank all those involved in giving us personal tours and instructing us on what's going to happen here, what's going to happen there. We are so fortunate to have that in our midst.
We are. And it's amazing, and my wife and I rode by there Sunday, and it's just amazing how much difference just putting those windows in did for that building. It's amazing. It really is. But you're right, we're very fortunate, to have that. Anyone else? Okay, we'll open it up for the public comment. If any of you out there have anything you want to bring before us, please go to the podium, state your name and where you're from, and we try to limit it to 3 minutes for each person, but
My name is Ray Ohlert. I'm not sure about the where from. I was born in California.
no, I mean where you live here.
Okay. I live at 304 North Broad, right beside the Inner Banks Inn. Used to be the Governor Eden Inn.
Okay.
Big white columns, needs a paint job, yeah. I have single pane windows, and that might be part of the problem. But it seems to me like the 35-mile-an-hour zone of Broad Street in front of me is a racetrack. At least 4 or 5 times a day, somebody just goes roaring up Broad. They must be going 50, 60 miles an hour. And occasionally, you know, I can understand that, but this is really, really getting a lot more frequently that this is happening. It especially happens between 4:30 and 5:30 a.m. And I appreciate they're trying to get to work, but they don't need to go 60 miles an hour on Broad Street, I don't believe. I'm not going to be running my inn as an inn, but if I were, I imagine that I would get a lot of complaints from my guests that were in those two front rooms because it's very, very noisy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Also, I'm sorry, I already talked to the police chief.
Anyone else?
Hi, Joe Liotto, 116 West Gale. Just to follow up on what Councilman Bond's question about recycling, can you all speak to the efforts of finding a new vendor for the recycling program for the town, and also an update on the hotel and the brew pub? Thanks.
Emery, you want to take that?
Sure. the town has been working, and the county, we've been working, trying to identify another option, solution for the recycling. And today we received notice. We were really disappointed. We thought we had found something that might work, but the vendor said that it financially won't work for them for us to carry the recyclables to a site in Elizabeth City, and then they would transport them to Portsmouth. And there's a incinerator in Portsmouth that takes recyclables, and they incinerate it, and it creates steam and for a utility that then sells the energy to the naval shipyard. But unfortunately, that is not an option. We're back, I think, looking at, is there any way we can make it work with us carrying recyclables to the Belvedere landfill? I think that is, we're going to have to look at, what would be the cost of acquiring additional equipment to make that work. So unless there's another vendor out there, Saoirse has been searching, looking for vendors that other municipalities and counties are using, and we're all hitting dead ends right now. But we won't give up. We'll keep looking and searching, because I know it's important, and it feels strange. At town hall we all recycle, and it's like, oh, you don't even want to empty the recycle bin into the trash. So we understand how important it is, and we're trying. On the brew pub, the update that I heard recently is that the Mr. Glover's architect is working on design, trying to look at the best ways to work the design and take advantage of the historic restoration tax credits. I think that architect is going to be at the Main Street Conference, and Councilman Dixon and Jennifer Harris are there, so they were going to try to pin him down and get some more updates. And then on the hotel, a group went to the Outer Banks 2 weeks ago. Mayor Stallings went, former Mayor Vaughn in his new role as chairman of the Edenton Chowan Partnership, and several others went and met with Saga, and we told them how much we appreciated all that they've done, and how we understand how hard they've worked to try to make the project work. But the longer the building sits vacant, the more blighted the building looks, the more deterioration, and we just need for that project to get going. And so we have asked them in the past to put a price on the building and the project. So because we've had developers expressed an interest in purchasing the property and purchasing the project, and so Saga pledged to give us a price that they would sell the project for, and we have a list of probably 4 interested developers who would want to purchase it. So we're going to try to match up some interest that we are aware of with Saga to sell the project and get something going. So those were the 3 questions. Okay.
Have the county commissioners and the town officials ever thought about establishing their own trash dump? I think it would be mighty profitable.
Let me talk to the county manager. The counties are responsible for solid waste in North Carolina, and I can talk with him and see. Right now they have the counties are part of a regional solid waste authority, and they have guaranteed, that authority contracted with the landfill in Bertie that was built maybe 20 years ago. And so that waste stream is committed for so many years to go that way. I don't know that they have the option to divert, but let me talk to the county manager and ask him that question
Okay.
But when you say profitable, I mean, just, how could it be profitable? I'm just
Because, including, I'm saying this, now, but I know if any of us went out there with a truck with garbage in it or whatever, you had to go across the scales and pay for it. They make money out there.
Tipping fees.
Okay, just a question.
And
All right.
Mayor and Anne Marie, I don't think there's anything that we can do about it now because there's no more governmental ownership of the hotel. But if we or the county ever have the opportunity to sell a high-profile piece of property like the Hotel Hinton, I would encourage us to look into the legality of having what they call a clawback provision that says if you don't start construction or development within X number of years or months, that we have right of first refusal to come in and buy it back from you. Because this has been very, very frustrating to the town folks, and I've only been on this council for 2 or 3 months, and it's about to drive me crazy that there's no action on it. But I do appreciate what you're doing and former Mayor Vaughn and Anne Marie are doing to try to force their hand. I appreciate that very much. But if we're in that opportunity again, if we could do some legal research and see if there's any way to guard against that.
For a couple of hours, and they were very forthcoming with their information and everything, but they just don't have the dollars, I don't think, to make it happen. I think something will come of the meeting we had last week.
Well, I know the townsfolk are appreciative of y'all trying to make it happen.
We appreciate it.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
And go through the Mill Village, and I was just wondering how much has been spent on legal fees and whatever to take care of this problem with the Vince Burger, just to paint that, and how much more do you anticipate paying for legal fees for this? And in the end, will it be worth it?
Okay, so at the, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, the council passed a budget amendment for the legal fees, and at that time we reported that it was projected we were going to spend about $15,000 on the appeal. I expect that Ms. Womble's fees will probably be, let me do a quick, I can do a quick calculation for you. Yeah, $4,000 to $5,000 at max. And, you know, if the board finds in favor of the Preservation Commission, the applicant has the right to go back to court, so there could be more appeals. And, you know, is it worth it? You know, the town has an obligation to defend and uphold the decisions that the boards that they appoint, the quasi-judicial board, the Historic Preservation Commission and the Board of Adjustment act as quasi-judicial bodies. And they perform a very important role, and it's up to the town to defend their actions. So I believe, you know, it's worth it. We have no choice. It's part of being a town. So.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public comment session, and we are through with our agenda. So we need a motion. I'm sorry.
Just to mention that I guess starting tomorrow, the newsletter comes out and the utility bills, the quarterly newsletter. Is that right?
Yes, we hope they hit the mailbox tomorrow. I
Okay.
texted my husband to see if our bill came today, but I hadn't heard back from him.
And also the hearing takes place, the quarterly hearing with Meet the Councilman before the next meeting in April, the Monday before that meeting at Providence Church. And that offers the town a chance to come and be present at a quarterly meeting. Are you starring in that role? Yeah. and meet with Councilman High at Providence Church. So that'll be our first quarterly
All those live within
Meeting.
the Ward 1
Yep.
jurisdiction.
So that's exciting.
We have finished our agenda. We need a motion to adjourn. So moved. Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. We are adjourned.